So when I remember when I got my PS1, I was like, this is how am I playing this? It felt like a movie, but more in a game. It was weird. Is the PlayStation 1 still worth buying in 2024? I've had the PS1. It was my first ever games console. I remember as a little boy coming home and seeing it, and I'm like, what is this? I at that point never saw what a games console was. I never saw a controller, and I'm like, I was playing outside a lot, so for me, I'm like, what is this? And I'm like, okay. And then when I started playing it, the first game I had was Street Fighter. Actually, um, I'm like, wow, okay, this is it's fun. This is very fun. But anyway, today let's watch a video to find out, is it worth buying in 2024? This retro console that has determined the current PS5. Let's see if it's worth buying in 2024. Let's go.
The first Sony PlayStation was released in 1994 in Japan, and it was the first entry of Sony in the gaming industry.
Yeah, so 1994. I remember I got my PlayStation, ooh, in the early 2000s actually. I think like 2004, 5, around that time. So I got mine a little bit later. I wasn't when it came out. I was only a couple years old, but yeah, I got mine a lot later. I think all 4 or 5 around that time when I got mine. But yeah, pretty odd console. Pretty odd console.
It sold over 100 million units, and with that, it changed the gaming industry forever. It wasn't just Sega and Nintendo anymore. A big contender, Sony, had entered the market.
Yes, when the Sony came out, my goodness, it like everybody wanted it. Like anybody who had it was in. It's like, you have a PlayStation? Like, are you serious? And I think it's the games you could play were different. The quality was different. It was like a whole new world of gaming when it came out. So when I remember when I got my PS1, I was like, this is how am I playing this? It felt like a movie, but more in a game. It was weird. I guess the quality was not the best back then as well, but still, the nostalgia feeling, you can't beat it. You literally can't beat it.
And in terms of sales, they literally blast the competition away. So
Yeah.
the first Sony PlayStation was a big success. And I remember the first time that I saw the PlayStation in action at a friend's house. And the game that I saw was Resident Evil 2.
Yep. Mine was I've said this like 3 times now. Yeah. Um, which wasn't the best really to be playing. Street Fighter. Was it even for my age to play? But it was fun. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I'm not gonna lie. I really enjoyed Street Fighter.
And that was really an incredible moment because till that time, gaming for me was the NES, the Super Nintendo, and Mega Drive. So 8.
Yeah. The Nintendo side. I never really got into Nintendo. Cause maybe because I was young, it was more like whatever is popular is what I'm gonna try and get. So for me, the PlayStation was what I got, and down the line, that actually tiptoed over to the Xbox 360. And when I got that, different video. Stay tuned, different video. Talk about the Xbox experience, but let's continue.
And 16-bit games. And seeing Resident Evil 2 for the first time was incredible, was exciting and scary at the same time. It felt really realistic, like a movie. But
I literally just said that. It felt like a movie. Like, oh, I don't think you guys understand. Okay, this is pre internet at its current level. There was no YouTube. The only way you were able to, I guess, watch content, this is pre Netflix, this is blockbuster times, is to rent a movie, go to the cinema, or watch TV, right? And now when you're playing a game and you can control characters, not in a 2D plane like in Nintendo. I know there was still 3D games in Nintendo. Let's say Mario. That was my experience. For me, it was like, this is 3D. I can do things in a game that can affect people in 3D. It felt weird. It felt like, what is this? This is new. This is different. And yeah, it's like a movie. I'm not joking. It felt like a movie. Nowadays, kids will never understand that feeling because at a young age, you're just given everything. But for me back then, this is pre-internet at its current era, pre-YouTube, pre-Netflix, pre-phone games. The only phone games I had was Snake and Tetris. I'm not even joking. Anyway, it shows my age a little bit. Those born 2000 and up, oh 01, oh 02, oh 03, might not understand this. But those in the 1990s, 1980s, my era, they will understand it. They will understand it. Let's continue.
It also scared me because it was of course a scary survival horror game. And I never had seen anything like that before. The
Got
games
it.
I knew were sprite-based games and those polygon graphics were amazing. But also the
Yep.
cutscenes, the sound, it was crazy and I had never experienced gaming like that before. So that was my first introduction to the term.
I think what you need to understand is back in the day, like 1440p and 360p. No, 1440. No, that's 2K. 144p, which is the lowest YouTube. I'll show you. I'll show you what I mean by that. I can't talk today. Jeez. So on YouTube, there's quality settings. See here, 144p, 240, 360, 420, 720 was HD. So back in the days, playing a game at 720 was really high res. The displays were most likely 480, 360. So playing a game that resembles what you're watching, quality wise, was a game changer. And it will be scary sometimes, and it would be immersive. We can't compare it to today, but it was good. The question is it worth buying? Let's see. Let me skip a little bit further so we can. Okay, this is story time. Yes, yes, yes. Good games, nostalgia. I love nostalgia. Happy, happy days. Let's get to the meat of it.
With a newer model of RetroTink. But for now, I stick with the RetroTink 2X card. It's just a decent.
Okay, so in terms of the retro
And the
game
receiver
itself,
that I am
hold
using.
on, hold on, you're talking too fast. In terms of what's really important, as a retro game, um, the only reason you would get a PlayStation is to get the PlayStation games. You can emulate games, which I'm not condoning, and it's heavily illegal in some regions. But a PlayStation is purchased for the nostalgia, that loading screen, that UI, the way you play games. The PS5 is very similar in terms of build to the PS1 controller. So let's see in terms of how these bad boys, or how you can use the how you can play the PlayStation on a display that might be 4K. I'm currently using one 4K display and two 1080p displays. Both have VGA. Well, the 1080s have VGA and HDMI and DisplayPort, whereas the 4K only has DisplayPort and HDMI. So these consoles are not designed for that. So they're designed for the old school like AV connector, like a weird rectangle connector. So let's see how we can play it on these newer displays, which are not 360p.
2X card. It's just a decent solution. So the RGB SCART cable is from Retro Gaming Cables and the 2X card upscaler is.
Okay, so they're using an upscaling kit. So as you can see here, there is a what's this, RGC. This connector, this was the same connector I had on my, I still have on the Wii. This looks like DisplayPort because of the right angle right there. So it's not HDMI. DisplayPort can handle higher qualities than HDMI. Then there's a USB-C connector to power it up. So I'm guessing it's getting the signal through it. It has a chip in it, most likely a Raspberry Pi. It's gonna upscale it to the quality you need it, either 1080p or, because the issue that the other consoles had was that it would be playing on a square screen. So I guess this can upscale it and make it easier to use. This is useful. Okay, let's see.
From Retro Think. So let's go to the controller that I am using, because
Okay.
this one is special. The controller that I use on my PS1 is the 20th anniversary PS1 themed dual.
Okay, it does look like PS1 colors, which is interesting. These lines, I don't think they're there on the normal PS4. Anyway, let's continue.
Shock 4 PS4 controller. And even though I like the original PS1 controller and I enjoy playing games with it, I still prefer to have my controllers wireless. The DualShock 4 is one of my favorite controllers of all time.
But the question that I have is, how would you connect your DualShock 4 controller to a PlayStation 1, which was not designed for wireless controlling? There might be a few options where there's like a wireless receiver that you plug into the console. That might do it, but there is no Bluetooth to connect it. Even the upscaling device, which is here, will not be able to control this because it's designed to only work with something plugged into here. So I'm guessing one of these two is a wireless receiver for the wireless controller that can be programmed to receive it. I don't know how that would work, but let's find out.
And having it in the PS1 colors that fits perfect with the original console is just amazing, and my way of playing PS1 games on the original console. And the receiver that I am using for this controller is from 8-bit.
I said it. I said it. I remember sometimes you'd be playing and then controller would just stop working. Then you'd plug it out. You would plug out that thing that you see right there, and you would have to blow in it. You know, you would hit it sometimes, plug it in, it would work. Like, I agree. You need to use that. I don't know how you would sync it, but maybe it's anyway. This would do all the syncing for you.
BitDo. This is a Bluetooth receiver. I have two receivers that I can use on PS1 and PS2. This one from 8-bit and the Brook Wingman PS2 converter. Both are great, but for PS1 I prefer the 8-bit because it has the same gray color as the original PlayStation
Yeah,
console.
when you are buying a console like a PS1, everything has to match and make sense and still be almost retro. Because you can play PS1 games on different consoles through emulation, but when you get a PS1, what you are getting, let's talk face to face. What you're getting is an experience, and getting the similar color schemes and you know that nostalgic feeling is essential. Even, for example, using the PS5 or 4 controller, because they're very similar, it still won't pull you away from the game. Most people will use the original controllers for the nostalgia feeling, but I understand, you don't want to be tethered to the console. You want to put your console in the back somewhere. And most times nowadays, in terms of houses, the TV is pretty far from where you're sat. So because they're so big now, so having that like a meter long cable might not be the most conducive, ergonomic way to play a retro game. So I get this. I get it. If I bought a PS1, I would buy this. Let's go.
And for PS2, I prefer the Brook Wingman. The Brook Wingman has a big extra feature. You
Yes,
can
yes,
use wired
yes.
arcade.
Yes, you can use wired, but fun. Let's finish this video so you guys can go home. Okay, there are some games you can get from the PS2, Resident Evil, all the fun stuff. But let me do this for you guys. PlayStation 1. So I am gonna make the assumption it's gonna be pretty expensive. Yep. When I say expensive, it's Okay, it's not that bad. This is a retro game. Why is it? Okay, let me. Where are you? So I'm gonna go to. This is how you check what things are worth. You know, if you guys are resellers or you guys want to start selling things on eBay, you know, do what I'm doing. Anyway, so you then have to go to where is it? Show only sold items, so you can see what's recently sold, and you can see if it's a PS4 for 60 quid. Anyway, I said PlayStation 1. Why is it only showing PS2s, PS4s? There we go, PSP1, 20 quid. There we go. 20 quid best offer, not bad. 144, that makes sense. 20. The only thing I would question about these PlayStations is, are these the originals or are these copies? Why would they sell for so cheap? Let me have a quick look to see if it's worth buying. That's the whole point of this question. Is it worth buying these consoles? Right? Here is my take. Here's my take, right? Here's my take. Look at that coins. That's so sick. Anyway, here's my take on it. Let's wrap this up. Is the PS1 worth buying in 2024? The answer is yes. It is worth buying if it's for the right price. For example, 25 quid. I've bought games that cost more than this console. And to be fair, I've just sold my Xbox for like 40 quid. So is it worth buying? Yeah, it is worth buying for the right price. 122, £25? Maybe not. If you are a retro games collector, then what you're paying for is the quality of it. The scratches, has it, been sunburnt? Is the gray now yellowing a little bit? So yeah, get it. For 25 quid, for even 60, 70 is reasonable. Over 100 at that point, I'm like, okay, it's a fun thing to do. Keep it. It's thin, it's light, it's fun. But yeah, is it worth buying? Yes, get it. Have fun. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.